This week I'm going to be sharing my opinion on this ND filter from Genus. Hello, my name is Cade, and this is DSLRguide. So yeah, as I said, this week I'm going to be just talking about this ND filter and just kind of sharing what I've found about it, what I think of it, the good points and the bad points, which will hopefully help anyone who's considering buying this or a similar one. So, first thing I'm going to talk about is the sharpness. Now this is probably the thing that people are most worried about. Now, for me, I've said this in my other videos before, sharpness isn't the biggest deal. If you'd like to find out more about the sharpness, then there are plenty of other videos about that. But the thing that does matter to me are other features. So I'm going to start with the actual construction of it. The build quality, it just feels really solid. It's completely metal, except for the filter obviously, and it has a super smooth focus ring. If the focus ring on my lenses were as nice as this, I'd be very pleased. So this is it. The focus ring feels like what I'd imagine cine glass to feel like on those big cine lenses. Now, I don't know if that's true at all, but it has a really nice, smooth feel to it, which allows you to get really nice, slow starts. It's not jittery. So that's a really good feature. My biggest problem with this is the flaring. Now, I'm going to talk about this before then the other good points. So this is quite a big deal. I'll show some examples of what it looks like when you don't have a lens hood or a matte box or anything. Because basically, if you're pointing anywhere towards the sun with the ND filter on, if the sun is kind of, anywhere within that direction, you're going to get some serious lens flares. And they're generally not the kind of lens flares that people like. It basically just adds it removes a lot of the contrast from your image, and it's not desirable generally. So that's probably the biggest problem with this ND filter. Now, I'm not exactly sure if this is a problem with other filters. It may be just to do with the fact that it's two pieces of glass. To get the flaring down is quite a big task, but that's the biggest problem I have with this. So when I'm out using it, it works great in terms of the amount of exposure I can use. I can go from minimum to maximum on a 17mm on a crop sensor or at 200mm on a crop sensor, and not see any problems with the X that you see on some cheaper ones as you get darker. It works great in that sense. It works great in the sense of not degrading the image too much, not doing anything crazy in terms of a color cast. I think it does have a slight color cast, but again, for me, not such a problem. If you're shooting a massive film with multiple cameras and you need everything to be precise in terms of the colors, then I suppose it would make sense to get one that didn't have a color cast. But for me, it doesn't make that much a difference. I'm going to be color grading and correcting the images anyway, so if it's slightly more green to begin with, it's not really a problem. But that's just me. So everything about this lens is really useful and really works nicely, except for the flaring. So yeah, basically, what I found is that by doing this with your hand while holding a camera, you can usually block some of the light, which is not ideal at all. You could get a lens hood, and then that would probably help to eliminate them, although if you're on a wide angle lens, you're going to struggle to get the distance out because it'll see that bit. But then obviously you're going to need to use a one with, I think the outer thread is an 82mm filter thread, so it's getting a bit more tricky. Now the thing I would recommend for using this is either a matte box or Dinkum Systems, I think that's the name of the company, make a just like a matte box flag on a movable arm thing that goes from your hot shoe mount. And I'll put a picture of that on the screen now. But basically that would eliminate the flares, I think, and it also does it in a lightweight, easy way that doesn't mean you have to have a massive giant expensive matte box, and that thing's only like £30. So that's what I'm going to be looking to invest, and with that, or a matte box, or a 82mm lens hood, this filter would be, as far as I'm concerned, flawless to a certain level. You know, it's not better than £1,000 ND filter, but that's fine considering the price. So, just to kind of recap all of that, it works in terms of just using it out in the field. It works really nicely. There are the problems with the sharpness and color cast are either too small to notice or just fine, and in terms of function, it works perfectly. I've never had any problems with, you know, the X's that you see on some of them. And then the only problem with it is the flaring, which can actually be quite easily sorted out. So if you pair this with something relatively cheap to get rid of the lens flares, then you're actually onto something really good. So yeah, I encourage you to go and check out some more ND filter reviews if you're in the market for one. I mentioned this in a video before, but Dave Dugdale makes a really good comparison between this ND filter and a bunch other, including the Lightcraft Workshop one, in kind of varying prices. So yeah, that's it. Really great ND filter. Just got to watch out for flares. So yeah, that's my verdict. I'll see you next week.